Jerry Seinfeld hates Bobcat Goldthwait, and so do I for his dumb last name. So, going through this Syracuse.com article, the two comedians with Central New York ties have a beef that's apparently lasted decades. Jerry Seinfeld seriously hates Bobcat Goldthwait and detailed why in a new episode of Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee. The episode released last week co-stars a raunchy cabaret performer named Bridget Everett, who's appeared in movies and TV shows like Inside Amy Schumer, Patty Cakes, and Lady Dynamite. I checked out this episode. Someone requested I do a video about this. I went and checked out this episode. I was kind of shocked by the rant Seinfeld went off on. So, but I'm going to get into this, and I'm going to bring up an article after this from 2003 from Bobcat, where he sort of exposes Jerry a little bit. This whole thing is very weird. Over coffee, Everett brings up Goldthwait, saying she's good friends with him. The name is bleeped out, which I found to be very weird. They actually bleeped out his name in the episode twice. But her mouth movement and unique name makes it clear to lip readers that she said Bobcat Goldthwait. They're friends, as Goldthwait directed her Amazon TV pilot Love You More in 2017 and cast her in last year's True TV series Misfits and Monsters. Seinfeld bristles at the name, immediately shifting from a humorous tone to bitter and anger. I don't like him at all, Seinfeld tells Everett. I had kind of forgotten about him. Oh, wait, I should be doing this. What's the deal with Bobcat Goldthwait? I kind of forgot about him. Kramer! And then there was a little article about him in the paper, and even in that there was a veiled reference to his dislike of what I did. I didn't have my name, of course. Seinfeld starts ranting for 2 straight minutes. Yes, he did. It's actually pretty funny. A huge chunk of the 16-minute episode with several F-bombs. He used to rail against me, because they weren't as wild and dangerous as he was. Because he sucked, Seinfeld continued. He wasn't funny. And that's why he didn't get anywhere. Because in comedy, no one gives a F if you're cool, if you're lame. If you're funny, you win. If you're not funny, you don't. And he's not funny. That's why he had to do that stupid effing voice. Because you have no effing act. Damn! I encourage you to check out that Comedian's Card. It is a good one. Everett laughs while covering her head in embarrassment. She told Seinfeld she felt tense and stressed out, but he continued with the roast. That's why he didn't like me, because I could actually do it. I can do it. I can do comedy. He can't, Seinfeld said. Stupid Bobcat, it was bleeped. You're not scary or dangerous. You're just weak on stage. You're a weak act. I love him, Everett responded. You can love him. He's going to need the love because he's not going to get it from the public, Seinfeld said, laughing at Everett's reaction. It was a good one. Seinfeld roasted his ass. It's unclear when their paths first crossed. They both have CNY connections. They're both stand-up comedians, and they've both appeared on many of the same TV shows, including The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson, Hollywood Squares, and Comic Relief. Goldthwait, 57, grew up in East Syracuse, attending Bishop Grimes High School with future SpongeBob SquarePants star Tom Kenny, a.k.a. Tomcat. Goldthwait first developed a stand-up comedy persona in Schenectady with Barry Bearcat Crimmins, and then moved on to bigger stages and film TV roles in the 80s. All I know him from is those Police Academy movies. Seinfeld, 65, briefly attended SUNY Oswego in 1972, but has spent most of his life and career in NYC. He told Reddit in 2014 that he loved Oswego State. Goldthwait had, alright, I don't need their freaking goddamn life stories. We're just going to get back to smashing. Okay, wait, here we go. It's unclear what newspaper article Seinfeld was referring to in his conversation with Everett, but Goldthwait famously criticized Seinfeld for dating a 17-year-old girl when Seinfeld was 38. Here's this creepy Scientologist guy dating teenage girls, which I don't care about one way or another, Goldthwait told the Spokes Review in 1995. What I find creepy is that people are convinced he lives in that apartment and those are his wacky friends. They don't like each other. They're actors paid to pretend they like Jerry Seinfeld. He's a weird guy, but everyone thinks he's normal, and I'm weird. Goldthwait also criticized Seinfeld's 2002 movie Comedian, a documentary about the work that goes into being a stand-up comic. I don't know, man. Sitting around with a bunch of guys slaving over a new clapper joke, for God's sakes. People are going to think about all comics are crazy because here's a guy with 450 million bummed out because he can't get laughs at in an improv. Goldthwait told the Baltimore Sun in 2003. That's the article I was talking about. If it bums you out, don't go on stage. You've got 450 million. You can pay these people to clap. So, it continues. Seinfeld and Everett have not commented publicly on questions from fans, some of whom initially thought the bleeped out name was Andrew Dice Clay, Gilbert Gottfried, or Anthony Jeselnik. Jeselnik says he conducted his own investigation and learned it wasn't him. Damn, what'd you do, Jeselnik, that you think Seinfeld would be trashing you like that? Later in the episode, Seinfeld and Everett get tarot readings from a psychic. Beware of the past, the psychic tells Seinfeld, one particular person that you've had conflict with. Seinfeld turns and looks at Everett. Both say Bobcat again with the name bleeped out and laugh. So, that's the beef right there. The other articles from the full 2003 one, where he, like here, he says, I watched that Jerry Seinfeld movie about stand-up comedian. I don't know, man. Sitting around with a bunch of guys slaving over the new clapper joke. For God's sakes, people are going to think all comics are crazy because he's a guy with 450 million. Bummed out because he can't get laughs at an improv. Crazy. Dude, if it bums you out, don't go on stage. You've got 450 million. You can pay these people to clap. I mean, so, obviously, I think the main thing Seinfeld is mad at is the 1995 article where this dude calls him out for not only dating a 17-year-old, because that was, at the time, Seinfeld was criticized and that was talked about, him dating the 17-year-old. What was never talked about at the time, in sense really, except one thing in 2007, was that Seinfeld was a Scientologist. Now, according to Seinfeld, he hasn't practiced Scientology in like 30 years, and the thing that attracted him to being a Scientologist in the first place was that it was a religion not about faith, but about technology. I'm sure Seinfeld didn't get, the pitch regular. You probably got the Tom Cruise pitch of, we'll make you a star and you'll have all this power. But for whatever reason, he stopped following it. According to him, by the way. I mean, he just says he hasn't practiced it in 30 years, but no one knows if he actually stopped it. But I guarantee you that's the thing that really got him mad at that Goldthwait guy, is because he exposed to the world that Seinfeld was a Scientologist, which is a creepy thing to be. But for some reason, when you made that statement in 95, when Seinfeld was, my God, at the height of his fame in 1995. And, by the way, no one ever really picked up on the story because no one ever really reported Seinfeld was, like I said, the only time he was ever asked about Scientology was in that article from 2007. So, obviously, Seinfeld has stopped practicing it, but I find this whole beef to be very, very interesting. I find it, you can tell if you go watch that Comedians in Cars, Seinfeld hates that Bobcat dude. Like, in that episode, I was shocked they bleeped out the name and people subsequently figured out who he was talking about, but I guess it's been pretty obvious. But, so, like, Seinfeld's demeanor changed. Seinfeld went from, hey, Kramer, to, I hate that dude. I hate that dude. Like, you can tell Seinfeld probably used every possible thing he had behind the scenes to try and crush that dude's career. Who knows if he actually was able to affect it or anything, but if I heard a story, if Bobcat was like, yo, that guy wouldn't perform if I was going to perform somewhere or told people not to work with me. I would have done it by the way Seinfeld was sounding. But let me know your thoughts in the comments about this whole situation.